we're going to take a look at Plotinus. Specifically, we're going to look at Plotinus's hierarchy. So his hierarchy of being, right? So essentially how he sees everything ordered. Now, you can approach Plotinus's philosophy in two ways. I'm going to use that symbol for philosophy. Okay, you can see it as a great hierarchical structure. Okay, so you also think of it this way as a great chain of being. Okay, the other way you could see his philosophy is as an exercise in an introspective understanding of the self. Okay, so those are the two ways you can see his philosophy as a way of describing the entirety of being. That's everything that exists. So how is everything that exists connected? Right? This is when you're asking the biggest question of all, right? What actually does exist, and in what way does it exist? Or you can look at it this way as understanding how to access being, the most real being. And the way to do it, he says, is to go up, but you go up by going in. Okay, so to go up towards being, you actually go in within yourself, and that's how you get there. So in looking at his hierarchy, uh, his his hierarchy, and so that's just a way of saying how you order things, okay, is expressed in terms of three principles. Okay, and also the Greek is hypostases. Okay, so that's an S. So in ancient Greek, the Y is pronounced like a U. So these principles, you can also call them gods, however you want to see that. That's fine. So the highest of these is called the One, or the Good. Okay, and then it is followed by intelligence, or the Nous. So Nous is the Greek. Okay, and then it's followed by soul, or in the Greek, psyche. Okay, so in English we usually use the word psyche, but in the Greek it's psyche. Now, if we look at, let's say, soul, this is at the lowest level. It was at the lowest level of this great chain of being. Okay, so this is life as we experience it. Okay, so what you and I are doing right now is in the realm of soul. So whatever you experience, whatever you see, that's the realm of soul. Okay, so it's a realm of sense perception. Okay, it's a realm of discursive knowledge. Okay, so what do we mean by discursive knowledge? Well, if you think about, let's say, how do we get to know things here in our world? Well, usually it's a process, right? You think maybe A, and piece of knowledge A leads to knowledge B, and then both lead to C, and then you might do some thinking that leads you to a conclusion D, right? So we reason in steps. Okay, and so if, for instance, to get to know, something, to know some truth that maybe X is Y, Okay, for me to get to know that, there's usually a discursive process. That means there's a process of steps of sequential thinking or thinking about different things. Okay, and there's also, by default, a separation from what I know. Okay, so this is a realm of discursive knowledge. This is what discursive knowledge is about. It's a knowledge that reason that it's knowledge that is expressed in terms of a sequential or stepful type of reason. Now, there's nothing wrong with this, but in Plotinus's view, and the view of many ancient philosophers, this is inferior to a more intuitive knowledge. So, for instance, the knowledge that you have of yourself is not necessarily discursive. Like, you don't know that you exist by reason of steps. You simply just know it, and you know it as an absolute fact, an absolute truth that no one can make you doubt. And so that's when you get to real knowledge. So, the knowledge that you have in this realm of soul is a knowledge that is not undergirded by unity, right? You're separated from what you know, and you get to know things by steps. Now, beyond the realm of soul is the realm of intelligence. Okay, and this is the realm of nous. So this is the equivalent of Plato's realm of the forms. Okay, so for Plato, the realm of the forms was ultimate reality. For Plotinus, it wasn't, right? For him, he felt that you needed something else to unify all the forms, so that the forms could not be the absolute the realist thing, so to speak. So in this realm, the knower and the known are one. Okay, so unlike the case of discursive knowledge, where you're separated from what you know, so let's say you know this, and you get to know things in steps. So, for instance, if in discursive knowledge, let's say this is a box. Okay, for me to know this, I'll have to see that perspective, this perspective, that perspective, that perspective, the top, the bottom, and then maybe look inside, and then I have to combine them, right, to be able to get some sort of overall view. In this realm of the forms, you know things intuitively, right? You are no longer separated from what you know. So knowledge is intuitive. Okay, it's not seeking and finding. Okay, and also there is no possibility of error, and knowledge is infallible. Okay, so you're dealing with realm of truth here. This is when you know things as they are in just in the sense of absolute truth. So you recall again, for Plato, this is absolute reality. For Plotinus, it's not, but it is the realm of, a reality. It is the realm of truth in the fullest sense. So with Plotinus, the problem with the realm of the forms is that, I'm just going to draw forms here, it's kind of a horrendous thing to do because you can't. So let's say these are the forms. The issue here is, for Plotinus, is that you still have multiplicity, right? You still have different forms. And he felt there had to be something that unifies them, that makes them forms, right? Something that makes them what they are. So, for instance, if I said that this is a tree, and I said that's a tree, and I said that's a tree. Well, so these are three individual things, but they're all trees, right? And so there has to be some other understanding of treeness, or something that unifies all three individual things, so that I can recognize that these things are trees, Okay, but even when they die, that idea of tree is still there, right? And this is the idea that it's the same things that you have the forms, but there has to be something greater than the forms that unifies them, that makes the forms what they are. Okay, and so beyond the forms is the realm of the one. Okay, and it's literally one. It's absolutely simple, right? So it's not composed of parts. And no parts means no dependence. Okay, so the thing that's the absolute greatest thing must be absolutely simple. That means it can't be made of parts, and that means that it's not dependent on something else. Because if it is dependent on something else, then that means something else is prior to it. Okay, so and that would be an absurdity or a contradiction. Okay, so the absolute greatest thing, the absolute first thing, must be absolutely simple. Okay, so it's beyond duality, and nothing can be said of it. Right? You can't really speak about it because, for instance, if let's say this is me, and I say, "Oh, that's a tree." Right? So what I'm doing is I'm using a particular word or a concept to explain what this is, and to some degree, I can have this image or this meaning of tree, and maybe to some degree capture the essence of tree. But when you're dealing with the one, there's really no concept that can actually capture it or in any way even come close to reflecting what the one is, right? So it's beyond words or concepts. So you really can't even say much about the one, okay? Now it's also the good. Okay, that's because all things desire it. Okay, but it does not desire anything. Okay, it's complete and whole and has no desire. And the issue with desire is this. So we're talking about the good. Is that desire implies incompleteness. Okay, so if you desire something, that means you don't have something and you would like it, right? And so the ultimate thing that's desired is the good. But the good itself cannot desire anything because that would imply that the good is incomplete. Okay, so this ultimate thing has to be the one and the good. All right. So these three are again the three hypostases. Okay, they are the one. You have intelligence or nous, and then you have soul or suke.